What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another Commander Deck Tech video, and I'm going to do something a little bit different for today's video. I'm going to be looking at someone else's deck that they've made for competitive EDH. Because I was thinking to myself, I could make my own deck, I could spend all that time making a competitive deck, or I can look at someone else's competitive deck and then just see what I would do differently. That way I'm able to give someone else's deck some attention if you want to go check it out for yourself. And I'm also interested too, because this is something for me, this is a learning experience for me as well. I don't always play competitive EDH, so maybe there's something that I gained from looking at this deck and sharing it with you. And if you like the content, please do subscribe. We are getting close to 21,000. You guys are incredible, thank you so much. It's been a hell of a 4-year time here on YouTube. So this is called Food Chain Garth. It's using the new commander option Garth One-Eye. This deck is by Perry3176. And I will have it linked in the description below if you want to go check it out for yourself. And also follow me on Moxfield too, that's where I post all of my new deck lists. So Garth is just incredible because you have those 6 different cards to choose from after tapping him for his ability there. You can choose Disenchant, Brain Geyser, Terror, Shivan Dragon, Regrowth, and Black Lotus. All of those are going to be easy to combo with. If you get infinite mana, if you have a haste enabler, if you can reset your Garth, that is going to make it easy for you to then just win the game, because if you have infinite mana, if you can constantly recast him, reset him, he has haste, you can get pretty much infinite Shivan Dragons, or infinite of any of those that you want, and then just win the game off of that. Downside for Garth is that you do need haste enablers, and whenever a competitive EDH deck requires haste enablers, that's taking up slots that could be used for other more competitive cards. So we look at the creatures here, 20 of them. Anger is kind of maybe something I wouldn't personally include, just because you need a way to chuck it into your graveyard, and if you don't, it is kind of up there for your ad nauseum competitive decks. You don't want to be losing too much life per card, and this is above average, I think, for what it does in terms of mana cost, but still, I mean, you need a haste enabler, so I can understand that. Got our mana dorks here in Arbor Elf, Avacyn's Pilgrim, Birds of Paradise, and Boreal Druid. That's pretty much standard. Even Boreal Druid, a 1 mana dork that taps for any mana, allows you to play something that's 3 mana on turn 2 at the bare minimum. And then Brago King Eternal is another big question mark here for me. You want to reset your artifacts, you want to reset your Garth, and this is a pretty easy way of doing that. But I think being 4 mana, this next card here I think is way more justified in Deadeye Navigator. So if you're able to soul bond it with Garth, you can then just go infinite off of Black Lotus. If you do, of course, have also a haste enabler. Deathrite Shaman, great card, also a mana dork with Elvish Mystic and Llanowar Elves here. Ennoble Hierarch, Finhorn Elves, and Noble Hierarch, just to get those out of the way. Ennoble Hierarch, of course, being a newer addition, anything that taps for mana, it's a 1 mana dork, usually going to be competitive EDH friendly. Destiny Spinner here, creatures and enchantment spells you control can't be countered, which is important for a food chain deck, seeing as that's our primary win con here. Dockside Extortionist, one of Red's better spells, if not the best spell in Red, if we're talking about competitive play. And then we get to look at some of these creatures here for food chain. We have Eternal Scourge, we have Squee the Immortal, and Mist Hollow Griffin. If you're not familiar yet, these creatures and food chain, if you exile them for mana, you do get 1 more mana than that creature's mana value. So if you can play them from exile and constantly exile them for more mana from food chain, you'll have infinite mana, or at least infinite mana that you can constantly use on creatures, which is why food chain decks are so powerful, because you can keep, once you have infinite mana, you can keep exiling your commander and replaying it. If you have a haste enabler, it's going to have the same effect as a Deadeye Navigator. And we have Gilded Drake here because 2 mana to gain control of a creature one of your opponent's control, even if you're just exchanging control with this, is still pretty powerful. One of the most efficient steal effects in the entire game. And then we have Phantasmal Image to do something similar. I think people have started to realize you have the same kind of upside here. For 2 mana, you can have it be a copy of a really good creature. It's not as good as Gilded Drake because you're not stealing it. It can be easily killed off. But for combos, Phantasmal Image is just brilliant. And then we have our sorceries here, Calling Ritual, destroy each non-land permanent with mana value 2 or less. This is a really good card here. From Strixhaven, one of the best for competitive EDH, you add a black or green mana for each permanent destroyed this way, so it is kind of a ramp spell that has a huge impact in competitive play because a lot of people are playing cheap mana rocks. So if you destroy them, if you destroy their mana dorks, you're going to get a ton of mana when your opponents are going to lose a lot of their mana sources. We got Demonic Tutor for our combo pieces. Of course, we have Extract and Manipulate Fate to do a very similar thing. These are great because you can have them exile one of our creatures for food chain like Squee, Mist Hollow Griffin, Eternal Scourge, and in doing so you don't really have to worry about them later. You'll have them in exile that you can cast and then feed into food chain. We have Gamble to get whatever combo piece we need. Gitaxian Probe, pretty easy to just set up our library so that we can use this to draw a card if we need to. Imperial Seal, another tutor. We have Ponder just to get some quick card draw there. Praetor's Grasp is seeing even more competitive play and I love it. You just steal something from your opponent's library and you get to cast it if you want to. We have Seven's Reclamation, basically the sorcery version of a Sun Titan, which is way better because it's only 3 mana, and you can use it to get back a food chain if it's in your graveyard. You could use it to get back a haste enabler enchantment if it's in your graveyard, so that's really brilliant. And we have Yawgmoth's Will, so if we want to go off in a single turn, play everything from our graveyard, we can do that. We have 20 instants here, Abrupt Decay ad nauseum, just so we can go off and try to win in a single turn. We have Chain of Vapor, Dark Ritual to get even more mana, Dispel, we have Enlighten Tutor to get to our food chain really quickly, and we have Entomb so that we can dump one of our food chain creatures in there, or we can dump an Anger because that's an option in this guy's deck. And we have Flusterstorm, counter target instant or sorcery spell unless its controller pays 1, and it has Storm, making it a very good counter spell for competitive play. And we have Force of Will, we have Intuition, so if we want a creature in the graveyard, we could most certainly do that, or we could just tutor something we really want. And you pretty much have 3 different ones that do something similar. You could do that for the food chain creatures as well. We have Limdol's Vault to set up the top of our library. Mental Misstep here, another great one, counter target spell with CMC 1. And we have Mystical Tutor to search for our instants and sorceries, Pact of Negation to counter for free. We have Silence to go off in a single turn without really having anyone counter us. We have Spell Pierce, and we have Swan Song, even more countering. We have Tainted Pact, just so that we can quickly get to our food chain. The fact that Tainted Pact does exile means that our exiled creatures for food chain are going to be exiled and we can cast them and go infinite and play our Garth. And we have Vampiric Tutor, more searching, and Veil of Summer to pretty much be another Silence. And then we have our artifacts. We have Chrome Mox and Lightning Greaves. Now, Lightning Greaves is good. It's certainly better than Anger, I think. And if you're able to take out one, I think it's a much better idea to take out Anger. Lotus Petal for mana, Mana Crypt for mana, Mana Vault for even more mana, Mox Diamond for cheap mana, and Rings of Brighthearth is kind of confusing for me. I don't really think this is as necessary. I don't think there's a lot of things we can combo with it to begin with. I could see if we were playing maybe something like Grim Monolith or Basalt Monolith, but to use this in response to our commander, yeah, in theory, I guess if you can reset it, you could just keep activating this and you'll get a ton of Black Lotuses and it'll pay for that cost. But if you can't reset your commander, it's kind of useless. We have Scroll Rack here, another one that's good, but I don't know if it needs to be in here. This isn't exactly top deck manipulation, the deck, but it's not a bad card, I guess. Soul Ring for more mana, and Wishclaw Talisman because it's just a crazy tutor. And we have our enchantments. We have Carpet of Flowers to get ourselves a ridiculous amount of mana because everybody's playing islands. We have Concordant Crossroads to give our creatures haste. It's going to give all creatures haste, so be careful. Make sure that when you play it, you are able to go off afterwards. And here is the card. This is the whole reason why it's called a food chain deck. Remove a creature you control from the game. Add X mana of any one color to your pool, where X is the removed creature's converted mana cost +1. The fact that it's +1 means that it's going to combo with those creatures like Mist Hollow Griffin. So you just keep doing that over and over again. You'll have infinite mana. You can even just play your commander however many times you want to. And let's say you have Concordant Crossroads out there, you pretty much just win, because that's infinite Shivan Dragons with haste. And then we have Mystic Remora to get our card draw. We have Necropotence to get a lot of cards. At the cost of life, it's definitely worth it. We have Rhystic Study, pretty much a Mystic Remora without a cumulative upkeep cost. And then we have Rhythm of the Wild and Temur Ascendancy here for even more haste enabling. Temur Ascendancy can actually draw you even more cards, which is awesome. And then we have Sylvan Library. And the lands are pretty much just going to be very expensive dual lands, anything that can tap for more than just one color. And if it's anything like your usual competitive deck, you're going to focus primarily on blue, black, and green, because those are the 3 most powerful colors in competitive play. So anyway, looking over some of the cards that this person was considering, you have Jace, Wielder of Mysteries, maybe for that win con of decking yourself out. Maybe insert a Thassa's Oracle, if that's what you're looking to do. I don't think Jace, Wielder of Mysteries would have been a good inclusion. And this is what really got to me. There's no Hull Breacher. in the deck. There's no opposition agent in that main deck. So I would totally take out Anger for one of these. And I would probably take out something else. Let's see. Going back to creatures, there had to be something else here. Maybe, yeah, Brago. Brago and Anger, take both of these out for Hull Breacher and Opposition Agent, and you'll notice a significant improvement in your deck. It won't really help the combo, but you don't need to help the combo to still add more power to your deck. As for these other cards, they're kind of so-so. Dark Confidant maybe for extra card draw. Time Twister, if we're talking about making it more competitive, that kind of card draw is ridiculous. Foresight, they already had Manipulate Fate in the main deck, but Foresight would have been a good addition. I don't know, maybe you could just only have 2 of those kinds of cards in there. Preordain maybe, and looking at instance, Assassin's Trophy I think should be in there. If we look at what they could take out for Assassin's Trophy, I think maybe we could end up taking out like Rings of Brighthearth or Scroll Rack for better instance, better removal. That's what I would do personally. Dovin's Veto maybe. Noxious Revival's another one I would consider taking out some of those artifacts for, because I think you have plenty of combo pieces in there, and the lands aren't too impressive. So let me know what you think about this commander deck. Again, go check out Perry3176 here on Moxfield. Let them know what you think about their deck. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a very good deck. Maybe a few things I would change, of course, but this is a very cool looking food chain deck. Food chain decks all kind of have a similar shell, and I've played them before, so I knew what to expect. But this guy is definitely a pretty solid commander for competitive EDH, even considering you are going to be playing some haste enablers, and that needs to be a setup for this commander in order for your deck to work, but still something fun to experiment with. I mean, you get to play with Black Lotus and Commander. So let me know what you think about it in the comment section below. As always, subscribe, like, comment, share, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. Void here signing off. Have a wonderful day.